the 160 centimeter white reflective umbrella.
Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Use coupon code Karl to get a 10% discount.
So that folds down to something like that. So relatively compact when it's folded down, but an absolute monster when it's folded up. So sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Karl Taylor from Visual Education, and we're here creating a series of lighting modifier videos for you. If you've missed some of our earlier ones, they are available on our channel. Now, we've looked at the white shoot-through umbrella, the one where you put the light through it. This one's different. This is the one where you bounce light into it and it comes out again. And you can see, because of that very large diameter, in this case 160 centimeters across, I'm not sure what that is in inches, but I'm sure you guys can figure it out. This creates a very large light source, and obviously a very large white light source gives us nice soft light. Now interestingly, this is an independent brand one. I think prices on this are around about $70, something like that for this particular one. You see it's black on one side to stop the light coming out, white reflective material on the inside to bounce that light around. This is quite a deep shaped one just to reduce the amount of light spill, but the characteristics of it are actually quite nice. It gives comparable results to the Octabox 150 centimeter softbox, obviously at a lot less money. However, the problem with it is the handling of it and using it. It's also a little bit awkward to maneuver because of the rod and the size and the shape and grabbing it and all the rest of it compared to an Octabox. But let's put it on a light and let's take a look at it and let's explain a little bit further. So sliding it in here, turning the light on. Now, as I explained with other diffusers, such as the white shoot-through umbrella, just be careful that your light spill is making it onto the umbrella, because if you go in too far or too close, depending on the reflector that you've got on, you can actually miss some of the surface area. Now, I've got that bare bulb at the moment, which is not a bad idea with this particular umbrella, because then you can bring the umbrella in quite close. But if I just get a wide angle reflector, and I pop that wide angle reflector on here, which is the sort of reflector you would normally use with an umbrella to restrict the spread and spill of light around your studio a little bit. So if we pop that on here, you can see already immediately, look, I'm losing light down here. It's in the shadow area here already because of that angle of incidence there of the light. So if I go in tight, we're only getting a smaller area illuminated, which kind of defeats the purpose of this umbrella. We want to maximize the spread of light. And even right out here, that wide angle reflector is blocking some of the light hitting from the edges. And that's why I prefer to use this modifier without a reflector, without a wide angle reflector at all. And I just use it bare bulb. That way, I maximize my spread of light. I can even get my light right in there, but the angle of incidence of the light coming out sideways here still gives me the spread that I need to illuminate the whole interior. Now, from a user point of view, you're trying to create a large, big, soft, even light. So you're shooting with it this direction. Your subject would be here. You would be shooting from underneath it or behind or from the side, but basically you're lighting your subject this direction. Now, this is what I was talking about when we compare it to the Octabox. The Octabox 150 is 10 centimeters less diameter than that, but it's a lot slimmer and a lot more compact and a lot easier to use because it's just more maneuverable. Of course, it's more expensive. I think it's around about $350 compared to around about $70 that we get for this. The other problem with this lighting modifier is if you're in a smaller studio with a lower ceiling, this gets difficult to use because really you want this thing up a little bit higher than we've got it here at the moment. And of course, when we've got it like that, you can see how much space that's now taking up and how close it would be to hitting your ceiling or surpassing potentially your ceiling height if you're working in a small garage studio. Whereas if you're using something like the Octabox 150, you'll be facing the other direction with your light, so your modifier will be kind of reduced in height to the overall ceiling. However, going back to it from a price point of view, I think this offers fantastic value for money in terms of the results that it provides. We're going to take a look at those results in a second, but first of all, let's just talk about accessories. Are there accessories for this? Yes, occasionally these type of large umbrellas also have an additional sheet of diffusion material that clips over these rod parts here, comes across the front, wraps around here to give you a little bit more homogeneous spread. However, I find this one with the white reflective material in the matte actually gives a really good spread without that anyway. So I find using it like this, I've got great results. All right, let's step over to our lighting modifier comparison tool. Now here on our platform, our education platform, we have our lighting comparison app where you can basically go through a whole range of different modifiers, choose, compare, and compare them side by side to see the results that you're getting. Now, let's just give you an example. So for example, there is bare bulb studio lighting compared to the Octabox 75. The Octabox 75 was the topic of one of our previous videos, as was the Octabox 150. Now, if we take this comparison window over to the Octabox 150, so now we have the Octabox 150 on the left, let's take a look at it with the 160 white umbrella. And there you can see it actually gives a really nice flattering result. Let's take a zoom in on both of those shots and compare them simultaneously. So you can see that beautiful big circle of light you get in the catch light in the eye, kind of similar to the Octabox. But notice the reduction in contrast in the shadows. The shadows are less contrasty, the spread of light is softer, and the reason for that is basic physics. What's happening is that more light is escaping out sideways, more light is bouncing around your white studio, that is bouncing off the walls and the ceiling, and you can see that's making the background lighter than the Octabox 150 provides. It's also making the shadows under the chin, under the eyes, slightly lighter. Now, of course, that may look like a positive attribute when you compare it in these side-by-side comparisons. However, in real terms, you actually want to control the light to be tighter because it's much harder to increase contrast when you've got a light bouncing around your studio. Whereas with the Octabox 150, you can easily add reflectors nearby to bounce more light into the shadows. So you do have greater control with the Octabox 150 compared to the 160 white umbrella, but I think the white umbrella does give really pleasing lighting considering its price. Let's take a look at it in the full length body version shots as well. So we go to full length body. You can see for me, it's a little bit flat and simple if we're talking fashion. The slightly harder, more aggressive look of the Octabox 150 with the darker background, I think is slightly better for full length fashion. But as you can see there, really good results from a cheap independent brand modifier. So as I said, this one's round about $70. It's a deep white reflective umbrella, more effective than a shoot through umbrella because it is stopping some of the light escaping around your studio, but of course still light is coming out here, bouncing around, more light bouncing around your studio than you get with a similar size softbox such as the 150. So you kind of have to weigh up whether that's a problem for you. Obviously in a larger studio space where you've got loads of room and the bounce back distance from the walls is greater, then it's not so much of a problem. But in a smaller studio, you're going to get a lot more light bouncing out from this bare bulb as well, bouncing around the studio. That can be beneficial in some cases, but it can also reduce that contrast that you actually want to increase the drama in your photos. So I hope you enjoyed that overview of the 160 white reflective umbrella. Make sure you tune in to our videos here, this series of studio lighting modifier videos that we're creating. There's already a few on our platform that you can check out, including ones looking at the 150 centimeter Octabox, so you can have a look and compare and see what you think. See you next time.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Karl to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.